We got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how you say that? Air it out. Air it out.
Air it out.
Oh, what's up, guys? It's the Air It Out Podcast. How you guys are doing? Like my guy said, the Air It Out Podcast. We are here. Your favorite NFL podcast. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. We got my man, Darius Riddick here. What's going on, Darius?
You know the vibes. I had to represent the Dreamville. I need my man Cole to drop an album. I need him to drop an album, man. It's been almost 3 years.
It's been a while, man. We need that album. Speaking of albums, my man Avery Collins coming back from Mexico with the man Ant Clemens. How you doing, man? How was your trip?
Man, it was phenomenal. Good people, good vibes, good food. It was good to get away. The weather was phenomenal. It's crazy. I actually found out when we got back that there's a lot of protesting going on in Mexico, especially because of femicide, which is just randomly killing women just because they're women. And actually the day before we got there, on one of the strips that we were on pretty consistently, a couple cartel shootings happened and a couple murders, happened down there. So, glory be to God that we didn't have to experience any of that, but keep Mexico and especially Tulum, the area of Tulum, in the prayers, because of everything that they're going on, everything that's going on down there. But outside of that, man, it was a phenomenal time. Service was good. Von Miller was down there, so that was pretty dope. I truly enjoyed myself, like I said. So I encourage everybody to go. They treat you well. They just want you to have a good time, man. So
definitely. And Avery, I want to ask you because you being a fellow Tar Heel fan, I want to know how you feel about the retirement of our guy, Roy Williams, coach of the Tar Heels. As you guys know, it is April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. I was gonna do a joke, but I was like, that's corny. I'm too old for that. Avery thought it was an April Fool's joke, and then I was like, wait, is it an April Fool's joke? And I started really researching. I'm like, no, this is real. This is real, Abe. How you feel about it, man? It's been years that we had this coach. I think ever since I've been a fan, he's been our coach. So
I mean, he's been there 33 years, so he's been there longer than I've been on the planet. I've always been, a UNC fan. Roy has been phenomenal. He's brought us 3 titles in that time, over 900 wins. Just a great coach. And I think the biggest thing is everybody talks about his personality outside of his coach, and everybody's like, this is the kindest dude. This dude just has so much respect. And he sets a standard for men, and coaching young men. And that's the one thing that I loved about him is like, no matter, you can't go back in history and find a North Carolina player that wasn't an upstanding gentleman in society. That wasn't somebody who was a boy turned man, and that didn't carry themselves with that pride. And so I'm appreciative of what he did. I'm hoping this is still an April Fool's joke. The day ain't over yet, so I'm hoping this is just a huge hoax. And if it is, it'll probably go down as in the top 5 of April Fool's jokes ever. But if it's not an April Fool's joke, then congrats to you on a phenomenal career, a Hall of Fame worthy career, Roy. You were like I said, obviously my favorite college coach ever, and you definitely inspired a ton of generations. From Jerry Stackhouse, Vince Carter, John Henson, and so many different players that have just come from that school. That, like I said, I look back and I'm like, man, these guys. Well, I don't think he had Jordan. That was Dean Smith. So, yeah, that was Dean Smith, and but again, even that, just following in the legacy of somebody like Dean Smith and making it so seamless, making it seem like, and not to say that or diminishing anything that Dean Smith did, but just making it so seamless where it's just like, yeah, man, you knew what you were doing. You're a great coach, but from all accounts, a great human being as well. So if this is the farewell. Thank you. We appreciate you. Enjoy retirement. Wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it stinks because I like to see great guys like himself go out on a high note, and the Tar Heels been struggling the last few years, and this year they finally they went to the playoffs, but they lost in the first round. So it's atypical for UNC. Usually you see them go deep into the playoffs. In the last couple of years, it haven't been like that, and that could, he's an older gentleman, so that could be like a stress factor that, living up to that hype and seeing how the team was to where it is now, where they're not as good as they used to be. And, I could kind of see why he retired. But Darius, I know that I don't think you're a Tar Heel fan, but what can you say about Will Williams yourself? Coming from an outside perspective.
Just from, what we see around his personality. I mean, you see all the videos and gifs of him coming in the locker room, just being excited and being that fun, loving guy. Him being swagged out to wearing the latest Jordans on the court. But, he seemed like a really good guy. Obviously, he was going to go down as one of the greatest college basketball coaches and just in general basketball coaches of all time, with over 900 plus wins and then 3 championships. You can put him on that level of what Coach K did at Duke. I used to love the Duke and North Carolina rivalry, especially when it did came on. But like you said, Jerome, I wanted to see him kind of go on the high note, at least get to the championship game, not lose in the first round. But he knows better than anybody else. He probably felt like his time. But again, I hope it is an April Fool's joke that he comes back and it's like, April Fools, I'll be back next year. So, but respect to Coach Roy Williams.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. It really does suck that happened, and hopefully that it is April Fool's joke, but like you say, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's a real thing. But let's get into some football news, because we had a lot of good football news, and that's what you guys are here for. So we're going to talk about the NFL season, and we're going to talk about our first topic will be the 17-game season. And now it just got passed now, which is crazy. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Some players love it, some players hate it. So they're going to take away one of the preseason games. So we're going to have 3 preseason games and add an additional 17th game. So every team had their 16 games already mapped out. Every year they have, I think they do like the next 4 or 5 years or something like that are already set. So when that got announced, they added the extra team on the schedule. It's not in chronological order yet, but you know who the opponents are. So for an Eagles fan, we got the Jets. I seen that we got the Jets on our schedule now. So I want to know how you guys feel about the 17 games now. Do you think it's worth it? Are you on the side of the players? Are you on the side of the owners or the fans? I want to hear what your opinion on 17 game system now. They already expanded the playoffs, so now they expanded an extra game in the regular season. So I'm gonna start off with you, Derek. What do you feel about this whole situation?
From a business standpoint and an owner standpoint, it's a win, right? The owners are going to get more money, and it comes at a perfect time because they didn't make that much money last season because of COVID. Like, they made money, but it wasn't what they're used to making. So now you have a 17-game season. You have fans coming back. It's a win for the owners. As a football fan, it's also a win because you get an extra game. You get an extra game of football in the regular season, and that last game could be very critical. Take an example: New England Patriots. They play the Dallas Cowboys. That could be huge playoff implications for both teams, especially because both teams missed the playoffs last year. Cowboys probably could win that division if they win that game. The Patriots probably can get into the playoffs or as a wild card team. As a football player, though, from their perspective, I saw Alvin Kamara. He said something like, it's just dumb, right? Like, they don't want to play 17 games. It's bad enough that they play on Sunday, then they got to play on Thursday, or they play on Sunday, then they got to play on Saturday. So from that standpoint, it sucks, but it gives us an extra game. The season is a little bit longer. It cancels the preseason game, which some people don't agree that the preseason isn't effective, but we kind of saw it this past season that preseason game does matter just to build chemistry with certain teams. But I love it. It's a little bit more football. Yeah, it's just more football for us as fans.
Hey, what do you think about this situation?
I mean, I agree with Darius from an ownership and sponsorship standpoint. That's more money, right? More commercials that we can run, more money that we can give through concessions and ticket sales and TV time and different things like that. So from an ownership and sponsorship standpoint, I it's a win. From an employee standpoint, right? That's an extra game I get to work. That's an extra paycheck. That's an extra whatever. So it's a win in that regard. From a fan standpoint, like Darius said, we get an extra game of actual meaningful football as opposed to preseason football. So that's always, as a fan, you're always going to want to see more football, right? Like we would love for football to be year round if there was no such thing as injury, right? We wish that we could do like Madden and turn injuries off and just let everybody rock out the entire year, right? I know at least for me, I love football that much. So, but from a player standpoint, again, to Darius's point, I mean, some players are like, okay, cool, because I love football, but others are like, and it also depends on your position. Like Alvin Kamara, if I'm a running back and I'm getting hit almost every play, I don't like that. As a quarterback, I love throwing the football as long as I'm staying. If I'm not getting hit, and I'm not taking huge shots, I'll play, all day, whatever. It's like I'm just throwing the football, having fun with my guys, different things like that. If I'm a corner and I don't have to bang against 250-pound guys, yeah, I'm cool with that, whatever. But from a health standpoint, you look at it from the standpoint of the preseason definitely is important. One, from the standpoint of the players that need to get eyes on them, right? So we all know that some of those guys didn't get that opportunity last year because of COVID, which leads into the next thing. Because there was no true preseason or anything like that, we saw at least 9 key players get injuries that were season-ending, ACL or MCL or whatever type injuries. And
it was bad in the beginning of the season.
The first 4 weeks.
Right. And so you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, why are we playing more football when we're seeing these injuries happen, So for me, I understand exactly where the players are coming from. I personally, if I was a player, I'd be upset too, and I played corner. It's still physical. Like, as much as I love running around and as much as when the season's over, I miss it. I'm like, dang, I'm itching to get back out there. Your body needs time to rest. Your body needs, time to recuperate and recover. And so adding an extra game, a lot of people don't understand one football game is tough. A lot. That's why everybody doesn't do it, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you. And it doesn't matter what level you're on. Football is a gladiator sport. So I completely understand where the players are coming from. But as a fan, like I said, we get 17. I'm gonna watch it.
I have 2 quick questions, because I truly don't know these answers. So maybe either y'all two or maybe one of our fans in the chat room are able to help me answer this question. But not 2-part question, but 2 separate questions. One is, I know when they was proposing this 17 game thing, do you guys know if there's going to be a additional bye week? Because that was one of the things that Joe was talking about, is add in an extra bye week, so there'll be, even though it'll be 17 games, it'll be a 19 week season. Is that in the works, or is still going to be just one bye week? Do you know? Because I know they was talking about it before.
I think it's going to be, and I'm just going to go on a limb. It's still probably going to be one bye week. That's what I'm thinking. But if they're gonna, I don't know. I mean, if they're gonna do one bye week, I just think they should get rid of Thursday night football, because again, you're playing on Sunday, you're bruised up, and then you gotta go play in the next three days. You know what I mean? So I think if that's the case, just get rid of Thursday night football. You could do Saturday, Sunday, just because, like Avery said, the players need rest. Like, they have to rest. So, but I think it's just still one bye week.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're gonna get rid of Thursday night football. Thursday night football is a huge success.
It is, but from a health standpoint,
I understand that. Yeah, I understand that, but I think it's too big of a thing because it's like it's not Monday because like Monday night football is good, but like everybody, it's like the day after football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like Thursday night football kind of starts the week off. So I think like Thursday night football, if anything, that would probably stop Monday night football. But I don't know. But Avery, have you heard anything about that or?
No, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything about an added bye week or anything like that. I think if they're going to do that, I think they should. If they're going to add a 17 game, I think they should definitely add another bye week. Simply because again, players need to rest. It's one of the only sports that is called a collision sport. It's a collision sport, not contact, collision. Like I was watching the Sports Science. They had Antonio Cromartie one time, and they had Ray Lewis another time. Antonio Cromartie, when he was on there, he went to tackle a dummy, and all he did was, he backpedaled maybe 5 yards, and then sprinted toward the dummy and hit the dummy. They said the amount of impact that he hit the dummy with was the equivalent to a 35-mile-an-hour car crash. That's what's happening on the field every single play. 35-mile-an-hour car crashes. And we're talking about a corner. We're not talking about Ray Lewis, who when he hit the dummy, they said the amount of force that he hit the dummy with, if he got a clean shot on you and you didn't have pads on, he could stop your heart, number one. Number two, the amount of force was the amount of a fully grown hippopotamus sitting on your chest. These are the type of athletes that are running around.
That's so random. Like that animal.
But like that's what's happening on the football field. And a lot of people, that's why I said I don't think people really understand what's happening. It's a gladiator sport. Like it's life or death when you step on that football field. Inky Johnson is a prime example of somebody who potentially could have lost his life or something like that because, and we've heard stories of people who have lost their life being on the football field. So I don't think people truly understand that. So yes, if you're going to do it, add another bye week or add some type of fail safe or safety measure to keep the players protected.
Definitely. And then my last question with this is, do you guys know if the players will have an extra game check or will their contract spread over the 17 games? Because that's a very good question right there. Because if you think about it, these players signed a contract, right? And their contract is at a set number unless they have incentives, right? So with it being a 17 game and a player already had their contract, will the game checks spread across those games? Or since it is an added game, they'll add some more to the contract? Or like maybe I don't know. What do you guys think? Avery, did you hear anything about this? Do you think that, like, which way do you think how this is going?
I don't think I haven't heard anything about it, but I don't see typically in NFL contracts, and I'm saying this. I'll say this as well. So I used to work in the mortgage industry, and I had to review some NFL contracts because of the client that I worked on. I actually did some mortgages for some current NFL players. And I read over the contracts. It doesn't say anything about the 16-game season and how it's getting paid. It's literally just what you would be getting paid for the season or whatever. And what you would lose out on depending on how many games you missed. But I think, and because of that, I'm assuming that it would just get spread out over the 17 games. In my opinion, they should get some type of boost because again, this is something that, again, they're going out there and they're essentially laying their lives on the line every time they go out there. So, in my opinion, I think there should be some type of boost into their checks, especially because the NFL, the owners are going to make more revenue off of it. We should be able to make more revenue off of it as well because we're the ones out there actually putting in the work. And you're telling us we got to put in more work. for the same pay. That doesn't work. That doesn't happen in anywhere in corporate America. Where you work overtime and just get paid your regular. No, you get paid more for working overtime. This is overtime, and so I think they should get paid more.
What do you think, Darius?
It's funny because I was reading something today and it was talking about I'm trying to remember what it said, but I think it was something that their salaries won't get paid an extra for the game. I'm not too sure if I read that correctly, but I'm all for what I agree with Avery. Definitely pay them more just because they're playing an extra game. That's an extra game that, if that wasn't there, so those teams that don't make the playoffs, they're home. They're chilling, they're home, they're relaxing, they're preparing for the offseason. Now you're forcing some of those players to actually go out there and play. And if you're going to force them to go out there and play, if they want to play, compensate them, especially for their work. If they're putting their bodies on the line from 1 p.m. to about 4 or 5 p.m., you're gonna have to compensate them for that. So I agree with them. But I like I said, I think I read something where it said that they're not. But I agree with Avery, and I just think that if you're going to give them a 17-game season, pay them, especially if they're going to the playoffs. Like, you got to pay them.
At least for this season, at least, because this is a new season. Nobody was aware that they're going to change that rule. Like, we knew it was a possibility, but we didn't think it was going to actually, like, we wasn't sure if it was going to actually happen unless they sent out something in the mail to the players like, hey, just let you know there's a possibility of this. And then, like, the players that signed a new deal constructed their new deals considering the 17 game season. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know how that works, but hopefully they are getting paid. I do think it's going to be good for this year, at least because of COVID. So last year, NFL didn't make the money they had, and it affected the salary cap. And I think that it's going to help out next year because you see all these contracts now. They're 1-year deals, this and that, and hopefully the cap go up so these players can get paid more because the teams didn't have the money and they didn't get the money that they want. Avery, you're shaking head no. You are muted, sir.
Sorry, they made a ton of money last year, man. I don't want to hear this stuff about they didn't make as much money as that. Yeah, listen, man, bump all that. You got billionaire owners, man. Stop playing, man. Stop playing with me. The NFL's $1 billion franchise. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear it. Yeah, maybe y'all did lose money, but that shouldn't affect what the players have to deal with in their contracts and different things like that. To me, that's corny. It's like, because at the end of the day, it's like y'all chose to have a season. The players, they would have been perfectly fine with saying, yeah, we're going to sit this season out. I guarantee, as long as they were getting paid, I guarantee they would have been like, yeah, no, I'm cool with this. I'm cool with sitting out a season and letting my body heal. Y'all decided to have a season. Simple as that. So, now they gave them the option to opt out, but were they getting paid if they opted out? So that's just like, so for me, it's again too much penny pinching, and I don't like it.
Yeah, but COVID definitely affected everything last year. So
it's all about the money with the owners, man.
Yeah, so they decided to make the happy season. The players did have options to opt out, though. They did have an option to opt out. So, and majority of them decided to play. So I can't blame the players. I can't blame the owners too much because the players did decide to play. Like if they didn't want to,
they gave them an option to opt out.
They gave them a bonus. They gave them a bonus. I mean, it wasn't the full contract, obviously, but they did give them a bonus if they did opt out. So they did try. I don't want to always bash the owners and everything also because they did try in some kind of aspect. But with that being said, last year COVID was a huge deal to the season, and it affected not only the players but affected the fans that wasn't able to go to the stadiums. Roger Goodell came out with a statement recently that he fully expects fans to be in stadiums in 2020. So I wanted to know, do you guys believe that that is a possibility in 2021 where we're still having some COVID issues? It is getting a little bit better. I'm seeing some spikes in certain areas, but in other areas it's going down. They have the vaccine now. So Avery, I want to know, do you expect this to be a thing in 2021?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to try to push for full stadiums in 2021. Looking at what happened last year, like we were just alluding to the loss of revenue and different things like that. It's predicated on the fans. A lot of and that's why I keep trying to tell people the fans. We are the true owners of the NFL. We're the true owners of these football teams. Like if we don't watch, if we don't attend, if we don't buy, they don't make money. They don't exist. It doesn't happen, right? So yeah, I think that obviously they know that. And so I think it's a situation where they're trying to get, recuperate that money. They're trying to get the funds back. I think it's also a situation where fans want to go back to the football games. They're tired of sitting around. They want to, be able to watch their teams play instead of in person, instead of on television. And with the, like you said, the vaccine coming out, with the COVID numbers seemingly dropping, with all of those different things happening, I think that it's definitely a possibility. I think it's definitely going to be a push for them. My only concern is if these numbers start to spike because of it, what then? Like, is the NFL going to take responsibility for that? Are we going to see, different parameters being taken to keep everyone safe? Or is it going to be, again, a push about the dollars and different things like that? Now, it's a strange position to be in because, like I said, you've heard people say before, it's like at some point we're going to have to live with COVID. It's not going anywhere. And then you look at states like Florida and Florida and Georgia and different things like that. Masks are not required. They're not required at all. It's completely optional. It's like if you get COVID, you got it. But you're not going to blame us. And so it's just like if the NFL adopts that mentality, can anybody really be mad? Because there are states doing it. So it's going to be a strange situation. Depending on what the numbers look like going into the season. But I definitely believe that that's going to be the push.
Avery, you brought up a strong point in this whole argument, which I'm going to get to in a second, but I'm going to let Darius go next. So
we saw how the NFL handled the stadiums last season, right? Kansas City was the first team to allow fans. They had so many precautions, procedures for fans to get in, sanitizing. So I think what the NFL should do, but they're probably not going to do, is capacity limits. And I think that's the best way. You slowly, gradually open up the stadium, slowly. Obviously, you want to get to a point where the fans are going to be there full capacity. But I don't think week 1 of the 2021 season, you should have fans fully there. Now, if you do, it has to be, obviously, they have to provide a negative COVID test, 72 hours or 48 hours before the game. Or if you want to even get a little bit better, they have to be fully vaccinated. I saw something about the Miami Heat. The way they did it was, if you're fully vaccinated, we'll let you come to the game. Like, we'll let you come in, we'll let you watch the game. So I think the NFL has to do something like that because one, it's going to force people to get the vaccine, especially if you're a football fan. But two, you're also going to have to take a COVID test. I'm not just going to let you come in my stadium and put others at risk. Sanitize, social distance. That's going to be a huge thing. But I definitely think they're gonna get back to full stadiums. Like Avery said, you have fans who want to be at the stadiums. They wanted to be at the stadiums last year. Like, you know what? If I get COVID, I get COVID. At least I get to see Jalen Hurts throw a touchdown. At least I get to see Tom Brady, throw a touchdown. I get to see that magic. It is what it is. That's how they thought about it. But I love how the NFL handled the stadium situation last year. Capacity limits, kind of do it again. Just like I said, gradually start to raise those limits, kind of like how New Jersey is doing with certain things, whereas like now you could do 25% capacity to 50% capacity, then obviously you're going to do 100%. I don't want the NFL to do 100% capacity week 1 because, like Avery said, maybe are they going to take responsibility if cases do spike because of those games? But at some point they're going to be full, and again it goes back to just the money. That's what it's about with the owners, the money.
Yeah. So one of the points that Avery kind of alluded to is that a lot of these rules that the NFL are saying and the guarantee that Roger Goodell is trying to make it's not really up to him. It's really up to the states. It's really like he can say whatever he wants. If the state says I don't want nobody in no stadium, you cannot have nobody in the stadium. So do you think that that's gonna be a mandated thing where the states are gonna like? Do you think the states? I mean, we got 5 months to the season. It just became April. We got 5 months to the season. Season starts in September. Actually, is it August now? Like,
if you count the preseason,
in August.
August.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Well, August. Still kind of 5 months though, but August. Yeah, we got 1 week earlier. So, the games are going to start in August, which is 5 months from now. And do you see that states are going to really start opening up things that much in 5 months from now?
Absolutely.
I think that things are going to start opening back up, and we're starting to see things open back up now. I mean, in New Jersey, the governor stated that 50% capacity at churches and events and things like that. So we're starting to see it happen. The CDC, the last thing I read was they believe by June they will have over 100 million people vaccinated, and by the end of the summer, close to, I think it was like close to like 500 million or something like that, right? Worldwide. Now, I'm not saying this is national, just worldwide, but the point is I think that because of those vaccinations and different things like that, I think that things are going to start opening back up. I think that if people are going to be responsible, I think the thing is because of how our nation handled this, they're kind of forcing the hand of people to get back to their normal lives. It's like it's not been handled well. So it's like people are like, I can't continue to be cooped up. I have to go to work. I have to do this. I have to do that. And social life is honestly is paramount for some people, right? It's a way for people to get away from depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, different things like that. So honestly, when this first hit, we should have went to complete shutdown, absolutely no movement for a couple months in order to lower the curve and get this thing under wraps. But because we didn't, now we're going into year 2 of this situation, and people's hands are kind of getting forced. And so yeah, people are like, listen, I got to get some semblance of normalcy in my life, and I think they'll be willing to take the risk. And then, in addition to that, I think states are going to say, listen, I mean, that sporting arena brings in some revenue for this state, and a lot of it. We're talking about four games a month, right? Like that's potentially, so it's. I think it's going to be. I definitely think that in 5 months we're going to see a lot more restrictions lifted. Especially like I said, because we got so many, things going on with the vaccines and everything like that. So,
yeah. I think that I hope for the best. I just think that it's gonna be hard for Goodell himself to say, hey, we're gonna have stadiums open when states are not even fully saying what they want to do yet. So, but all I know is that if that does happen, there's gonna be a lot of wild weekends. I know everybody's gonna be out on the weekends now, and everybody's gonna be crazy and out. So we'll see what happens when maybe hopefully, and I'm knock on wood, there's no spikes after everybody's going out on the weekends, and like everybody's like, oh, we can go out and start wilding out. So, but speaking of wild weekends, last week we had a wild weekend with some trades. So we had 3-team trade draft picks. Like, so you don't see this early in the year. Almost a month from the draft, teams are trading up and down the draft board without any players being involved. So obviously we had the first trade, which is crazy because it was like literally like 30 seconds after each other, but it was the 49ers traded the Dolphins for their third pick. Dolphins went down to 12. Like 30 seconds later, Dolphins went up from 12 to 6, replaces my Eagles going from 6 to 12. So I want to know what you guys think about the trades, and what do you think the organization was thinking in that aspect? So I'm pretty sure you guys know, pretty sure you guys figured out that the 49ers are trying to get a quarterback if they're going to go 3. But who do you think they're going to get, and what do you think about the mindset of the Miami Dolphins and the Eagles at that point? Darius.
I mean, with John Lynch has shown that he's aggressive. Like, he's going to get what he wants, and he's proved that, last year trading up, right? And then this year trading all the way up to number 3. But then it also shows that, Jimmy Garoppolo, he may be on the move, and the asking price is a first round. So if he can somehow get a first round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo this year or next year, I mean, you got to start talking about this guy is one of the great minds as a GM. But as far as who the 49ers
I'm sorry, you're not getting that much.
I mean, as far as who they're going to get, it's obviously a quarterback. It's just a matter of who, and it really just depends on what the Jets do. I think the Jets are going to kind of dictate what every other team does. So if the Jets don't take Zach Wilson, you might see the 49ers do that. But if they don't take him, they might go with Trey Lance. I definitely saw mock drafts where they might go with Trey Lance, that he fits the Kyle Shanahan scheme of player. He could sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a year and then, take over and learn from him. I always love when rookie quarterbacks could kind of sit behind a veteran player and just kind of pick their brain and then obviously, take over that next year and just gain and learn from them. But I definitely think the 49ers are going to go quarterback. I would be surprised if you trade that high up and you don't draft the quarterback. It's like, who were you really trying to get? Who do you think that the Dolphins were going to take? Were they going to take Jamar Chase? You didn't think he was going to be there at 12? But yeah, they're definitely going quarterback. And I could definitely see a Jimmy Garoppolo trade happening on draft night. I definitely think they're going to move Jimmy Garoppolo on draft night to a team that is quarterback needy.
What about the Dolphins and the Eagles? What do you think their mindset was?
And it's funny because I was listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, and I think the Eagles are going in with the mindset that if we couldn't get Zach Wilson, which they want, that I was reading reports on that. Obviously, the Jets weren't going to trade that number 2. They're going with the mindset that Jalen Hurts is our guy. Like, we're going to see what he can do. We're going to give him a full off season. We're going to give him a full preseason. He's going to be our guy. We're not going to make it easy. We're going to probably draft a quarterback in the later rounds just so he can have some competition, and it doesn't make it seem like we get him. But at 12, we're possibly, depending on who falls, we're going to get him a weapon. Kyle Pitts, if he falls, you can get him. If Jamar Chase somehow magically just falls out of, he falls to the later rounds, you can get him. But I definitely think they wanted a quarterback, which is kind of weird to me. I don't know why the Eagles would want a quarterback. Especially in the first round when you draft them in the second round. But I definitely think they're going to get Jalen Hurts some help on an offensive standpoint, especially because this year's draft is deep with receivers. And then if you can get Kyle Pitts at 12, if he falls, that's a great addition. And then the Dolphins, again, same thing. They just believe in Tua. I think they're going to get him some help. It's a deep draft at every position. So I definitely think they're going to give him some help, or they might trade back. We see a lot on draft night. Teams that have that draft pick, they're going to listen to teams. They're going to listen to teams that want that pick, and they might just trade back to get future picks in next year's draft and then in this year's draft. So
you're telling me the Dolphins went from 3 to 12 just to go up to 6, just to go down.
Listen, we didn't think that the 49ers were going to do. No one thought that the 49ers were going to be that aggressive in this year's draft. All I'm saying is, if a team is calling their phone and they're like, hey, we'll give you our first round pick this year, first round pick next year, and our second round pick this year.
So they might, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, they could have kept their pick at 12.
They could have
kept their next year pick, and they could have had 2 first rounds this year, 2 first rounds next year, and 2 first rounds in 2023. I think that one is. But hey, you're right. You never know.
Listen, stranger things have happened before the draft. We saw it with this.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
All right, Avery, we think about this whole thing.
Yeah. So starting with the 49ers, I'm not sold that they're going to take a quarterback. I believe they will. I believe that they should, but I'm not sold that they will. They haven't re-signed Patrick Sermon, from my knowledge. And imagine an offense with Kyle Pitts and exactly.
Ooh.
Like, right, imagine that two tight end system. Right? So I wouldn't be surprised. So because they didn't re-sign Patrick Sermon, Patrick Surtain is there. Right? He's a young corner who plays.
You mean Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman.
Okay. Who plays a game similar to Richard Sherman. He's a long, lanky corner who's physical. He likes to press. He's best in cover 3, but he can play man as well. He's got excellent technique. He's not the flashiest or the most athletic guy, but because of his technique, he makes up for a lot of those things. So I would not be surprised if they spent a first-round pick, because you remember John Lynch is the defensive-minded coach. Kyle Shanahan's proven that it doesn't matter who you put on his offense. He's going to scheme well for anybody. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they built, continued to build that defense over there, and drafted Patrick Surtain. I wouldn't be surprised if you give George Kittle a running mate in Kyle Pitts, and you literally threaten the seams at every single level. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I do believe that they will take a quarterback, but I'm not sold that they're going to. Not 100% sold that they're going to. As far as the Eagles, I think they realized, hey, listen, we're not going to get a quarterback, not the quarterback that we want at least. So that's really what that pick would have been for. As far as receiver, this draft is extremely deep with extremely good. And especially when it comes to route running receivers, whether it's Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase. So there's so many different receivers out there that it's a deep draft, and there's teams above them that don't necessarily need receivers. The Falcons don't need receivers. The 49ers don't necessarily need receivers. If they took one, I wouldn't be surprised, but actually I would be surprised. But
that would surprise me if they took a receiver.
But at the same time, like, I could understand why they would, but they don't need receivers. The Jags, I could see obviously they need receivers, but they need a quarterback more than they need receivers. So there's so many teams above them that don't need receivers. We could see the likes of, Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase being available at 12 because there's teams ahead of them that don't need receivers. So I understand where Philly is coming from, where it's just like, hey, listen, we're not going to get a quarterback. Let's go ahead and build around Jalen. Let's go ahead and build around the guys that we have right now, and go ahead and do what we got to do now, right? Because again, there's holes on the roster that can be filled this year to bolster them to have some stability going into next year's draft and be able to. That's when you never know what quarterback emerges if Jalen isn't the guy, if you're not sold on him, or if he is. Then you're like, okay, cool. We made the right decision in trading back and stockpiling weapons for him, or stockpiling on defense and different things like that, right? So I think it works out for them either way. And then as far as the Dolphins, I like to Darius' point, it's a possibility that they trade back again, different things like that. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think in this position, I think that they're going to definitely try to build grab some weapons for Tua. I have a very, very strong feeling Devontae Smith ends up in Miami, gets reunited with Tua Tagovailoa, because like I said, the first 4 teams do not need receiver. You're not going to see the Jags take them. You're not going to see the Jets take one. You're not going to see. I mean, the Jets, they might take one, to help with Sam Darnold, but I don't think they will per se. And so I'm not sold on them taking a receiver. The 49ers, again, if they could not, I don't think it's a high likelihood. Falcons do not need a receiver, and I'm not sure who's at 5. Who is that? Is that New York? Is that the Giants?
No, at 5 is
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They may go receiver, but
Cincinnati could go receiver to replace AJ Green, But I think there's and to give Joe Burrow a guy. But even if they do, right? Even if they do, there's potential that Jamar goes before Devontae Smith, right? Because of we're seeing his pro day numbers, right? He ran a sub 4.4. He has a 41-inch vertical. He has a broad jump. He's 6 foot. He's strong. All of those different things. His shuttle was phenomenal, right? So you're looking at a potential where Jamar Chase goes before Devontae Smith, and then at 6, why not reunite Tua with the guy that caught the game-winning touchdown for his first national championship? Like, why not do that? So, I do believe that the Dolphins stay there and they go after somebody on offense to help Tua Tagovailoa. I think it'll be really interesting if Kyle Pitts and Devontae Smith are there. It'll be real interesting which player they draft right there. So, I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I know they got Gesicki down there, but Kyle Pitts is the guy that you just it's going to be tough to pass up on him.
100%.
So we'll see.
100%. All right. Let me break this down. All right. 49ers cannot pick anything else but a quarterback. They can't. Absolutely can't. For the price that they traded from 12 to 3, a first round, not only first round next year, but a first round the year after that, that's too steep of a price just for any receiver, rather as tight end, receiver. They already have a tight end spot. So, like, I don't think that will bode well with the organization if they traded that high up for that price tag just to get a playmaker in there, and especially a playmaker when you have a playmaker, a really good playmaker in that same position. And I get, Kyle Pitts and him will be a great match. And Avery, I totally 100% think that will be a great match putting them together. But you got to remember the price tag and the future picks that they put into it. So I just cannot see them doing anything but a quarterback. If they do, they gotta look at Lynch and be like, yo, what's going on here? You know what I mean? You're mortgaging our future right here, and you're not picking a quarterback. So I think that they 95% chance they have to take a quarterback there, or it's just going to be pandemonium in that organization. So that's my mindset. I think they found the quarterback that they like. They fell in love with multiple quarterbacks because obviously Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. Number 2 is most likely going to be Zach Wilson. No, you're right. You never know too, because I don't think anybody thought Baker Mayfield was going to be number 1 that 1 year that he got drafted. So you're right, Avery. But I do think they fell in love with at least three quarterbacks that are out there, and it was like, all right, we feel comfortable enough to get in the third position to make sure we got our quarterback. Miami obviously was in that great spot because they knew that, hey, somebody's going to want a quarterback at this spot and we can trade down. I can't see them, to Darius' point, like I said earlier, I can't see them trading down again. Just stockpile more picks because they could have just stayed there at 12 if that was the case. And they could have just kept their first round pick for next year. And that tells me that they found the player that they think is going to be there. And the most consensus spot right there at the 6 point was Chase, Pitts, or Penny Sewell. So I think they're like, hey, any of these 3 guys land there, and it's like a good 90% chance they get the guy they want right there, because everybody's going to probably try to trade into that 4-5 spot because that's the quarterback spots also. There might be another trade in there. So I do think that, the Miami was like, at 12, we can get a good player, but at 6, we can get that elite player that we can get that nobody else is going to touch within the first five picks because of the deepness of the quarterbacks at that position. People are going to overdraft quarterbacks. The Eagles, I truly think that there's 2 reports out. There's a report. Yes, I know Darius just got close to the camera on that one. All right. There's a report that It's a report that the Eagles wanted Zach Wilson. And then there's reports actually that the Eagles wanted Jamar Chase. There's reports that's saying Jamar Chase could have went 5, so the Eagles was like, well, if Jamar Chase is going to go 5, which is the Bengals pick, we should trade back and get more value and still get a player right there that's good value. I'm going to say this.
Hey, listen. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if I see Chase and Smith, because again, you go LSU with Chase and Joe Burrow, and then Bama with Tua and Smith. So I can understand why the Eagles might think that. Yeah.
Yes, thoughtfully though. So this is my thing. 12, you gotta. I think they thinking in a normal mock draft sense, which is stupid, because you gotta remember there's teams that's gonna trade up. They're gonna grab guys. It's just the nature of the draft, especially in that 12-ish, 10-ish range. That's when the trades really start coming in. I think the Eagles are gonna miss out on somebody and they're gonna overdraft somebody. I really think that's because they went from 6 to 12. They got a lot of teams in that area that are going to take somebody that they're going to really like, and they're going to be like, oh, crap. I do like the sense of the rebuilding aspect of it, because the Eagles need a lot of help. Our cap space this year wasn't great. We can't sign a lot of people. But for me, if you're in a position at 6, and you believe this is an organization that don't be in the 6th spot all the time, I think you need to get that elite player and guarantee you're going to get that guy. I truly feel like Howie Roseman overthought this and was like, well, let me trade back and see some of these guys slip. I really do think they think one of the top guys are going to slip down.
Now, here's the reason why.
It could. No, granted, it could. But do you want to put up the chance?
Here's the reason why. There's an extremely strong possibility that the Bengals do not draft Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And they draft Sewell instead, because you got to protect.
I agree that it would be a smarter thing, because people don't remember that T. Higgins had a really good year. They still got Boyd. There's other free agents out there. This is a deep wide receiver class, so I do believe that the Bengals will be foolish to pull a Jamar Chase and let Sewell just not go there, because they need offensive line. Your quarterback
needs to protect Joe Burrow. That's what they need to do.
And so that's my point. So at 3, Sewell goes. Then 4, you're not drafting a receiver if you're Atlanta. At 5. Who's at 5 again?
The Bengals.
The Bengals. Wait, excuse me, the Dolphins. At 3, the Dolphins aren't. They might draft a receiver with Smith.
No, it's San Fran with 3. San Fran has the
3. All right, so I'm getting everything backwards. So let me go in order. Jags are not doing it. The Jets might, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Right? I don't think either. I don't think either.
The 49ers are probably not going to do it. I know for a fact the Falcons aren't going to do it. Then you've got the Bengals there as, again, Sewell. 6, you've got now in that spot is Miami. And it's a possibility that they take, receiver. Okay, so that means Smith or Chase. After that, again, I would have to look at the order. There's not too many teams that need a receiver. That second dynamic wide receiver could potentially fall to 12.
It could, yeah.
High possibility.
I think Detroit is poised to take a receiver at 7, so that's 1. Like they're probably gonna take one. Just
Detroit could get a receiver. You got Panthers are 8. They probably gonna try to get a quarterback there. And
if I think they start to fall, absolutely.
I think that's gonna be a trade spot too. Then you got 9, which is the Denver. They not going to take
need
a
a receiver.
Corner. They might go corner.
They might go corner or quarterback. Then at 9, you have the Giants.
No, Denver's 9. 10 is
Denver's
I don't know.
9. 10 is Cowboys, and then 11 is Giants, and then you got us. No, I'm sorry, the other way around. Cowboys are 11, Giants are 10, or I forget. Yeah,
it's I think it's Dallas 10, and then the Giants 11, or either way, it don't really.
Yeah, but either way, you're allowing 2 of your rival teams to pick in front of you too. That's another thing. I just can't get over that too. That's another thing. You're going to allow your rival team to pick the player that you want. I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And people are like, oh, yeah, Patrick Surtain. But, dude, like, Cowboys are right there. They can easily take him. Or some people are like, oh, maybe Kyle Pitts might fall down. He's not going past the Cowboys. There's absolutely no way that he's going to pass the Cowboys. Then you got the receivers. And, yeah, I'm not – I'd rather have Chase in this particular offense. I don't think that Smith and Waddle are the type of receivers you need because you drafted so much of that same type of receiver last year. Granted, they're good receivers. Don't get me wrong. And if they draft them, I'll be happy. But I just think that you need a bigger body, contested catch type of receiver. So I understand that. But we can talk about this all day. But we're gonna get off right now. I see Avery had to go. But yeah, it's Eagles. Every time
we got to give you a rant. We got to give you a rant before the draft. Literally the episode before the draft.
I need the Eagles podcast. I need my own Eagles podcast. Literally, I just can air it out, everything. Speaking of air it out, guys, thank you so much for checking out the Air It Out podcast. If you're watching live, thank you so much for watching live. If you're on YouTube, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification so you can hear every time we go on the podcast. We do go on our podcast every Thursday at 6 o'clock Eastern time. So you can always check us out live. But if you're not live, you can go in the chat room. Anything that we said on here, if you disagree, you agree, share your opinions. How you think about this trade? What do you think about this trade? We want to know what you think about it. So leave a comment right down there in the YouTube comments. Also, make sure you're checking us out on all our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's Inside the Hashes. Also, make sure you're checking us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Just type in Inside the Hashes, where you can find a lot of players that we talk about that are in the draft. This year, we interviewed a lot of good guys. So go check that out on Inside the Hashes as well. Check out our website. It has everything on there. So our podcast is on there. We got gaming on there. We got blogs. We got player interviews. We got all of that. Fantasy football. If you still want to see how everybody did on there, we have that on there as well. So check that out, InsideTheHashes.com. Yes. So, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. Please make sure that you stay tuned with us, support us, help us out. We love doing this. We love talking football, and we hope that
every Thursday,
6 o'clock. Check us out.
Rome goes on a rant every Thursday. They won't want to miss it. He shows the fire how we gift up. You gotta love it.
Eagles podcast. No, guys, thank y'all so much for checking us out each week. And hope that you enjoying us, and give us some feedback. We love feedback. We love to improve something. If there's something that we need to improve on, we want to hear from you guys or anything like that. So please give us that support and let us know. So I'm Jerome Jones. We got Darius Riddick, and we got Avery Collins that just left us. Thank you guys so much, and hope y'all have a great weekend. Peace.